original ideas and concepts.
Okay. That's a good way a lot of people recognize it as. So, smart. It is a way of looking at problems or solutions from a fresh perspective that suggests unorthodox solutions which may look unsettling at first. That is businessdictionaries.com definition. So, why is it important? Why is thinking creatively important?
Because no one was creative and no one would ever run a space.
That's fair. A lot of inventions come up from people. Honestly, I learned this the other day. Lazy people are the people that create inventions usually because they find an easier way to make something. Any other ideas? How do you use your creativity in your workforce or your school life or at home, anything like that?
Finding ways to keep people engaged or capture them.
That's a great way. A couple other examples could be increase the ability to adapt to changing circumstances, promotes optimism in the lodge, develops personal initiative, and potential for more productive meetings and programs. So yeah, creating an inviting way for people at different events is a great option. So, uncommon solutions to uncommon problems. So when you have a problem, most of the time, if you know what it is, you know how to fix it for the most part. But what if you have a problem that you're not used to? And you can't follow the path that you are used to when you follow. What do you do? So first off, think of a time in the past where a lodge issue was addressed. A lot of the LEC and LED might recognize this a little more. What was the issue? So, okay, someone give me an example of an issue that the lodge has helped resolve. Yes.
How much money you should donate to Phoenix Scout?
Awesome. Okay. What?
Did everybody hear that? What was your
How much money you should donate to the Friends of Scouting program of our council?
That's awesome. Okay. So, what method was employed as a solution? What were some ideas when it came to that? When we were trying to figure out how much money to donate, what were some solutions we had? Besides an amount.
We discussed it at LEC.
Yep, we discussed it. And we figured out different amounts. We tried to figure out math. I don't know math. For you people that are good at math, you did all the work. All right. And what was the inspiration from the idea received? Why did we decide to donate the money? We could just not. Why did we decide to? Because it's nice. It's a good thing to do. Yes.
Build better relations with council.
That's a great one. Since we are such a council-wide organization, especially the lodge, it is really important that we have hand in hand with the council. So, be honest. Not fully, but be honest. How well do you believe the lodge system fosters creativity? Yes.
Mediocre.
Okay, mediocre. Why is that? Why do you think it's mediocre?
I don't know, I just got here.
How about anyone on the LEC or LEB? You guys see it the most. When we're coming up with problems we're coming up with solutions for problems, how creatively do we think? Or do we just take the main road?
Most of the time we do take the main road from our knowledge.
Yeah, most of the time, from as well as I notice as well, we don't really like to stray off the path, but sometimes straying off the path could lead to a better destination. Okay, so how do we come up with solutions? And how are topics normally addressed at meetings? How do we bring them up? We have an agenda, right? follow our agenda and we see if it's on the list, and if anyone has a problem, we go to anyone on the LED and say, hey, I've got this thing I would like to add. And do you think all ideas are considered equally?
No.
No? Why not?
Because some ideas are bad ideas. I remember that the first watch meeting, they were discussing solution for because there was still food left after everybody got seconds, but if they allowed everyone to get third, then there would be a lot of people who didn't get thirds, and that would be unfair. So then, they originally suggested the communist approach of just give everyone very, very small portions, but in the end, they decided on first come, first served, and that worked well.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's a bad idea because it genuinely, everyone was trying to think of something different. And personally, I don't think any idea is a bad idea.
Can you repeat the question really quickly?
Yeah. Are all ideas considered equally when we're trying to come up with a solution?
Are you asking our lodge specifically, or are you just
Lodge, chapter, anything.
I
Usually
think,
lodge and chapter.
I think it kind of depends on the topic.
Okay, that's fair.
Because if we're taking something really seriously, as if there's a serious problem within the lodge, I think we have to take all ideas equally.
Yeah.
Because it's something that really has to be solved. But if we're talking about maybe an activity, making sure all topics are thought about equally, because we can have kind of like those goofy ideas, it's not as used, I guess I would say.
Okay. I like that answer. You had your hand raised, did you?
Yeah, a lot of times people coming up with good ideas may have to consider different factors than the LED members who actually consider the ideas, and they might have a different perspective on what factors are at play, so they might not be considered more based on that.
Okay, I like that. And do you feel that many opportunities are given to communicate a new idea? Say, like at an LEC meeting. Do you feel like your voice is going to be heard? If you have a problem and you bring it up.
Yes.
Yes?
The lodge leaders consistently ask for questions or comments or anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody else feel like that when you're at a meeting? They will, for the most part, listen to you? That's good. Yes.
What are the barriers? So when you think about sharing creative ideas or coming up with new things at the lodge, what are the barriers that you see that prevent the conversations from happening? Is there anything that says, we can't do this right now because maybe it's time, you don't have enough time in the meeting, somebody has an agenda that they want to follow, so what prevents you from sharing those new ideas? Anybody got anything? Other than what I just said, time? Everybody's in a hurry to get through the meeting?
I think it also has to do with the person, who the person is. You know, you may not feel, if you're newer to the LEC, you may not know how the other people who have been there for a while are going to take you just giving ideas. Now, you know that they're not going to say, wow, that's a terrible idea, because I mean, we know that because we're all great people. We're here. But I think that's something that stops people, is not knowing how others are going to react.
Right, so
So what you
sometimes
said.
it's not having the courage, you don't want to feel stupid in front of the group if your idea gets shot down, right? So we need to create a culture where, like Sienna said, no idea is bad, right? Every idea is good, and you should feel comfortable to speak your mind.
There's no such thing as a bad idea. Yeah, they might be silly, but sometimes a little bit of silliness in a very serious meeting, as long as it's appropriate timing, can actually loosen the room, I felt like. So a lot of times if someone brings in, like, I don't say a joke, but kind of loosens the room, it makes it feel a little more relaxed if you can't have your voice heard, because they're obviously having fun with it. So, tools for thinking creatively. The whole reason of this session. We're actually to that point. First up, we have a mind map. Now, how many of you have made this in school? Yeah, almost everyone here. Everyone knows pretty much what a mind map is. But if you don't, the center, there is a big bubble in the center, and that's usually the main topic. And then there's some little points off of it. So an example on this one is why we use a mind map. There are benefits, planning, creativity, productivity, and collaboration. And then you'll see off of each of those branches, you see little tiny twigs, and each one is like, say for planning. What do we use planning for? Projects, goals, and strategies. So it breaks it down into different sections so you can figure out why each thing is important. So I think I had to do one once on like history or something, and you started with a big topic in the middle, and then you went off, okay, well they did this, this country did this, and then you got the little sections of why they did it, or little subtopics. It is a diagram used to visually organize information, often seen as a central word or bubble with ideas branching out of it. So, pretty much everyone knows what this is because, let's be honest, we make this in school all the time. I'm pretty sure I had to do it for history and science constantly. Now, this is something that I, and even Trisha, had never heard of. It is called the 6 thinking hats. We have handouts for everybody, so take one, pass it down. They're actually kind of interesting. The 6 thinking hats are a system of productive thinking developed by Edward de Bono in his book, 6 Thinking Hats. Basically, you know how they say people wear multiple hats as a saying? This is basically what hat would fit what situation. So, for example, when you have a white hat, the white hat is about data and information. It is used to record information that is currently available to identify further information that may be needed. When you got the red hat is associated with feelings, intuition, and emotion. The red hat allows people to put forward feelings without justification or prejudice. The yellow one, you think of sunshine, is for positive view on things. It looks for the benefits in the solution. The hat encourages a positive view, even in people who are always critical. So, you have a situation where a lot of people are only looking for the negative. Well, here's actually all the positives that go with it. The black hat relates to caution for crucial judgment, and sometimes it's easy to overuse the black hat because when you're thinking of a situation or something that needs to be solved, a lot of times people will sit and look at the negatives, basically. You always want to figure out, okay, well, we need to make sure this doesn't happen. We need to make sure this doesn't happen. How can we go about to make this safer? Or things like that. But sometimes you do need to step out of those fears so you can actually start thinking about all the other stuff. The green hat is for creative thinking and generating new ideas. It's your creative thinking cap. And blue is about process control. It is used for thinking about thinking. The blue hat asks for summaries, conclusions, and decisions. So when we're at a LEC, maybe we could try to learn to put on the different hats for different situations. Or even use this at school or in meetings of your own. Figure out which hat you need to wear at that moment.
What other types of creative thinking have you used? What are some other options? So we talked about mind mapping, we presented the 6 thinking hats. What else have you used, either in your troop, or your chapter, or the lodge as a whole? So what are some other types of creative thinking that you've done? You can shout them out, you don't have to raise your hand. Come on.
Creative writing.
Creative writing, so just writing down a bunch of different words and seeing where that takes you. Okay, what else? That's a good one.
Bouncing off ideas off one another.
Bouncing off ideas, or what's another word for that? Brainstorming. Yeah, that's great. What else? Anything else? So while we've just come up,
I can't think of what they're called, but where you can put in a bunch of words and then it organizes them on the screen by how common they come up. I can't think of the term for that. It's like a brainstorming thing.
Yeah,
where you look for common ideas, right? And it ranks them by the number that keep coming. Within my crew, we used to give everybody 3 Post-it notes. And those Post-it notes, they had to come up with 3 activities that they wanted to do. And then we did the same thing. We grouped things together and came up with a common theme. And from that, we could skinny down and come up with 5 or 6 really good ideas. So while we just talked about 2 ideas for creative thinking, there are many more, and there's no right or wrong answer. The idea is that you just want to get your creative juices flowing, come up with new ideas to benefit the lodge.
And there's one more that you might not even think is considered creative thinking, and I guarantee you, every one of you has used this as a chore list, a checklist. Now this doesn't seem like creative thinking, but if you think about it, it can be, because you're writing down ideas and you're checking off, kind of like what you said about the multiple words. It can be like that. Okay, well, here's a bunch of different ideas. Okay, what works? Check. What works? Check. A checklist is going back to the basics, but a lot of simple methods do work. By compelling a basic list of the needs for a project, you can approach the project by tackling potentially overlooked tasks, and breaking apart at a seemingly grand task allows for more productive planning overall. So if you think about, say you have a meeting, even just a meeting, you make the agenda. Okay, here's the agenda written down. Okay, have we talked about this? Check. Did we talk about this? Check. Are we skipping this? Okay, let's put a line through it because we're not, the person isn't here, so we can't talk about this. Put a line through it. Okay. Did we talk about this? Nope. Okay, here's where we're on the list. So I'm going to hand it off to Ms. Tricia, and she's going to go to the next section.
Okay. So who can tell me, what does perspective mean? Who knows what the word perspective means?
Point of view.
A point of view? Yeah? What else? What might be another definition for perspective? That's pretty good. Anybody got another idea? Okay. So perspective defined is a particular attitude towards or a way of regarding something. In essence, a point of view. What about mindset? What do you think mindset means?
Your way of thinking.
Your way of thinking?
How you think about other things.
How you think about other things? Yeah. So mindset is an established set of attitudes that are held by someone. So what do you think mindset and perspective have to do with creative thinking? Why do you think that those are important? Why are they important in creative thinking? Anybody?
You develop opinions on other things based on your mindset and your perspective.
Right. You develop opinions on other things based upon your own mindset and perspective. So I have a question for you. When you think of the people in your troop or the people that you came with here today that you know and you work with, who do you think is creative? Does somebody jump to your head going, wow, that person is really creative? Anybody? No? Anybody think that they're, okay, so we have some finger pointing over here. What's your name? What's your name? Joe. Joe, all right. Who knows Joe? Joe, stand up so everybody can see your face. Okay, so tell me, why do you think Joe is creative? Go ahead, you can just shout out the reasons.
He has a Minecraft YouTube machine.
Okay, so that's Minecraft in there. Is that what I heard?
He has a YouTube channel.
You have a YouTube channel. Okay. What else? So what else does Joe do that makes everybody else think that he's creative?
He drew something on that hat in the market.
So he just sat there.
It's a brand.
Okay. So oh yeah, that's a brand. That doesn't count. All right. What else? What does Joe do that makes everybody else think he's creative?
He likes exciting people and give you new ideas.
All right. So he likes to get people excited and give new ideas, right? Okay. So what is that about Joe? That's your perspective, right? That's your perspective that Joe is creative. Joe, did you think that you're a creative person?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're aligned. But sometimes the people that you think are creative, they may not see themselves that way, right? So perspective and mindset, it's important to how we think about creativity. So what are some ways to get as many perspectives as possible on an issue? So there's three right here. What are they? Ask more than one person. That's a great one. Why is that important?
Because one person can only have so many ideas inside of them at once, and if they've decided on their opinion on a matter, they're probably not going to change it. So if you ask for a second opinion from one dude, then that's just his opinion, not really.
Right. So what does that do? It allows us to, asking more than one person, it allows us to broaden our horizons, right? It may Well, we have some right here on the screen. Communicate. Speak with all of the members and collect their take on the topic or an issue. What do you do if you have somebody in the lodge and they come to all the meetings but they never participate? What can you do? Hey Frank, you've been awfully quiet tonight. What do you think might be, I know everybody's laughing at that. What do you think, right? So work to engage and to pull the people in. Do some research beforehand about the issue and anything that has been written about it. Sometimes being able to share some ideas to get the group thinking, right? Did you know that this is part of whatever? Or did you know that this could happen? Or I read this on the, not that everything on the internet is true, but I read this on the internet. And so have some ideas ready so that you can start the conversation. Play the devil's advocate. You want to speak up for that unpopular opinion, even if you're opposed, because it may spur some ideas and conversation. So like Sienna said earlier, sometimes you get conversations going, and it might seem silly at first, and it might seem you're all over the place, but what happens at the end? Sometimes you come up with some really great ideas, right, for fun events, or fun things to do with your unit or in the lodge. So having the right mindset. We talked about that mindset is having a particular point of view. So up on the screen here we have counterfactual thinking. Counterfactual thinking literally means contrary to the facts. And it is when one thinks about a past that did not happen or asks the question, what if? So as an example, if you are in a situation where you're trying to improve the lodge banquet program after maybe not quite a successful one, make sure when you're having those counterfactual thinking sessions that you remain positive and you use those thoughts as ideas for improvement in areas to expand, right? As opposed to relishing in the failure. So what does that sound like to you? You guys are scouts, right? What does counterfactual thinking sound like? Eyes? Lies? Nope. What else? I've got another word for it. It's usually a three-word thing that you do at the end of an event or a troop activity or a camp out. Pardon? Start, stop, and continue. Okay, 4 words. We call it thorns and roses. So, right? So start, stop, and continue. Perfect. That's exactly what counterfactual thinking to me is. It's going through the process to say what went well, what could have gone better, and what should we keep doing. Counterfactual thinking. All right, it's time for a challenge.
All right, we have a challenge for you. You will have 10 minutes with your table, because your table cut in half. So with your table, you will have 10 minutes to plan a lodge event with your group. Consider problems that may be faced and solutions to those problems, activities, logistics, program, and more. And be prepared to share with your group, with everybody else, what your agenda was. So you'll have 10 minutes. Begin.
I gotta work.
All right, so is everybody ready? Yes. All right, we're going to start with this table. They're closest. So who is your person? Come on up to the front and present what your event was and how you planned it.
Ours was a chapter service day. We decided to go have a chapter service day at Flaming Arrow. We decided to do some trail cleaning there. We'll start around 10 to 11. That will check will start. We'll have to start to work at 12 o'clock. We'll send out emails beforehand, making sure everyone brings closed-toe shoes, water, everything like that. We'll also have this is all I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna read this. lunch will be provided, as well as tools. First aid kit will be on hand. We'll be there from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Very nice. What kind of creative thinking tools did you use?
We bounced, we did brainstorming on that.
Okay.
We were trying to figure out what sort of project we wanted to do, where to hold it, and how we're going to communicate with everyone.
Very nice. You guys in the back, who's your person? Come on up.
The art idea was a fundraiser event, and we were going back and forth, and we decided to do a pizza, ice cream, and movie. And like we would have games if you didn't want to watch the movie. The problem we thought of is that people might not like the movie or allergies, and that's what we want ice cream and get free with them. And we would send an email out, and it would have a Google form that had what movie do you want to watch if you wanted to, and have good free movies too. And it will be like $5 to after the came up.
Very nice. What creative thinking tools did you use? Brainstorm? Okay, great job. All right, you guys in the back. Bring up your person. You guys have to go. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Ray Roberts, and I'd like to present our proposal for a banquet on the weekend preceding bowl weekend from 6 to 8 p.m. Our theme is Space Clowns, and we're going to highly encourage wearing costumes, but because not everyone can bring a costume, we will be providing Space Clown wigs and Space Clown noses and fish bowls for everyone to wear, as well as a variety of food options, taking in mind dietary restrictions and various other supplementary factors, as well as certain decorations that are planned. We're going to have black tablecloths and a bunch of people that are just clowns with helmets on. And to encourage this event, we're going to go out and have several fundraisers. We'll make signs and say raise money for a Space Clown event, right? And then at the Space Clown event, everyone has a good time because we're going to have a nice photo reel going over the recent events in the past year, highlights, highlight reel, so to speak. And we can have a big photo shoot at the end so everyone can record the Space Clown event and themselves in it for all the time. Woo!
That is hysterical.
Oh, sorry, this is in Mosey. I forgot.
Okay. At Mosey. All right. That's honestly a little terrifying. I don't like clowns, but that sounds funny. All right. What about you guys?
We have high expectations.
Yes.
All right. So for our winter weekend, we are planning on having around 150 people, and we're going to have 5 campsites, 1 for each chapter. Some of our service projects include brush clearing. Our trainings include lodge retention and an extended leg mat training. For our ceremonies, we plan on making the ordeal candidates dig out their own igloos instead. And candidates have to be in parking. Now, our evening activities include Santa, tell them what you want for Christmas, and look nice. And we also have hot cocoa, snow cones, sledding, and the movie Elf. We also plan on freezing the pool and having ice skating. The safety details haven't been worked out yet, but we can worry about that later. We also plan on having a snowball fight, and we're going to have burgers, hot dogs, water, hot cocoa, eggnog, cookies and milk, and all at the low price of $25. Come to our weekend.
Now, may I ask, where do you plan on having this? Right here.
Here.
would you really buy a snow machine? Or
Yes.
No, we just need to go to tell us.
now how do you freeze the pool? I want to know the logistics on that.
It gets pretty cold around here.
Just add ice to it.
It just turns working out the details.
Yeah, come on, Sarah.
Hold on.
Actually,
That sounds so fun.
can I just interrupt on that one? So, who thinks that would be a really fun event? Now, is all of what this table came up with possible, given that we live here in Florida? But are there creative ways that you could come up with Florida alternatives to some of those activities that would be really fun, right?
Go outside.
Anyhow, the point is that that was a really creative idea, but it sounds like it could be a really fun event that you could really come up with some fun Florida winter alternatives, right?
I did want to mention actually a lot of these ideas, a lot of the different chapter sheets, logic sheets, anybody who needs it can take some of these ideas. The whole point is that we can use this as actual ideas for events. So for the hot cocoa and the movie and the that would be really fun. Maybe at an actual winter weekend. Maybe especially if it does dip a little into the colder seasons. I don't know if I want to sweat drinking hot cocoa.
I'm taking notes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I mean, but think about it. Think about an ice skating. Could you have some fun trying to ice skate on a pool that's not broken?
That's what swimming.
That could be really fun.
Or we could go somewhere ice skating.
Totally good point.
It could be, you could do something different, right? There's an opportunity to create it.
Hi, my name's Abe. I'm Osceola.
So our event was LLD. Never had one of those before. So we're gonna have it here at the very own campus. We'll probably make it 2 days again because no one wants to stay here tonight. So and then the problem we had was Jared dies. So that is a big problem. Next problem. You know, say you have a bunch of trainees coming. And one guy's like, sorry man, I got COVID. He can't make it. That's a big issue. So we gotta get another trainer person. I don't know what they're called. And then logistics. Yep, that's our thing. Oh, use brainstorming.
Alright, so we had Watch Day event, and we thought it'd be fun to do another pool party because last time was really fun. So they mentioned the Highland Rec Center had a pool, so it would be there from like 12 to 4, and we would have hot dogs, hamburgers, and unless anybody had dietary restrictions. And then we'd have like chips and drinks, snacks for the rest of the event, and we'd probably watch a movie at the end. We didn't really plan that much more. We just brainstormed.
So we also had a chapter weekend. Wow, it's kind of like I've never planned one of those. So Hawaiian themed, hear me out. In the pool, watching Lilo and Stitch playing basketball in the pool, but somebody decided he wanted to go swimming in the lake instead and dies gets eaten by a gator. Thanks, Jared. I don't know what other issue we could come up with, but because it's a combined chapter weekend, and 2 chapter chiefs and their leadership talked about it together, split up the responsibilities. I don't know what else we got. We got indoor activities because it's AC. Yeah, eating. What else we got? That's pretty good.
What method did you use?
We brainstormed. We talked about it together and split up the responsibilities. Alright, last one.
No one was broken in, right? You guys had one more?
You guys have one more? Okay. Alright. Alright. Now, does anybody have questions? Adult, youth, anyone? Any questions at all pertaining to the topic? Yes.
How feasible is a legitimate space clown band?
Anything is possible. Who learned something new? Did anybody learn anything new? Yeah. Okay. What did you learn?
There's a mapping thing where you had like the word in the middle and you went out.
Mind mapping?
I actually never used it.
It's actually, it can be extremely helpful. Also, a lot of school assignments.
Did anything that we talked about in this session kind of trigger something that you can do within your own chapter or within your role